Hey everyone, this is Pastor Tommy McMurtry, Cassandra's husband, and I am making a video for her Gently Led Sisters channel on budgeting. On her last program, she talked a lot about budgeting, and there's a lot of questions about that, and a lot of people are interested in kind of how that's done. And so I'd like to make this video just to kind of show you how we do things so you can plan for your finances. This is very important. A lot of people do not have any type of written budget. They don't have a real plan when it comes to their finances, and that is not a good idea. You're going to get yourself in trouble if you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants and just pay the bills as they come, and then go spending what you have in your checking. You need to plan. Okay, Christmas comes December 25th every year. You better plan on it. You know, those birthdays, anniversary, all these extra things that come up annually, they come up every year. You got to plan for these things. There's a lot of monthly, quarterly, semi-annual expenses, and a lot of people aren't ready for them, and they find themselves in a mess every time, and they just put more on their credit card. And I'm telling you, this was one of the best things I ever did, was putting together a plan, and it helps me more than you can imagine. Now, I use Quicken. This will not be a tutorial necessarily on how to use Quicken, because this is an older version of it. It's the one I'm used to. I don't want to upgrade. The new one, I always struggle finding my way around it, and I'm not good at learning new things. But either way, the main premise of what I want to show you, you can do on any of these software programs. And so I'm going to show you how I do it on here. You're going to have to go learn how to use the software on your own. But I at least want to help you learn how to put a plan together, and you'll be amazed at how much this will help you out. And again, a lot of people do not have any kind of plan. That is not good. So anyway, first thing I do, I've got a new Quicken account all set up here. And so the way I do this, and I'm sure there's better ways, but this is just how I do it. You can link your checking account up to Quicken. I've never done that, but I mainly use this for planning. I don't use it to pay my bills. I only use it for planning. And so the first thing I do, I go on Tools and then on Calendar, and I do everything from the calendar. This calendar is where I look to see how much money I'm planning on having on any given date, where I can see all my bills that are coming up, and this is how I know what to expect to make sure I'm not caught off guard. So anyway, again, there's might be better ways to do this. This is just how I do it. So the first thing you do when you get that calendar open up, you need to get at an opening balance. So if you use online banking, see how much is in your checking account, and let's just say you have $500 in your checking account. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go on here, I'm going to add income, and then I'm just going to put opening balance, and I'm going to put $500. And then there you go, I got $500 in there. And then the next thing you want to do is put your projected income in there. Now, if you have a salary, it's real easy. Most people, probably get paid off hourly or on commissions, but at the same time, you should roughly know what you're going to have come in. So not your gross, but when it comes to your net income, whatever gets deposited in your bank, whether it's a direct deposit or a check, what you want to do when planning is enter it on here, but do it on the lower end of things. So let's say that maybe you get around let's say $1,000 a week, but sometimes it's $1,100, sometimes it's $1,200. Well, plan for the low end, and then every week or 2 weeks when you get paid, then you can add to it. So here's what you want to do. You're going to go to let's see, I think it is planning. I'm looking for add reminder. I always forget where this is at because you only really have to do this once. This will not be the most entertaining video you'll ever watch, but it will be helpful. So there it is, add reminder. So I'm going to add income reminder. All right, so we will just say paycheck. And then let's say if you get paid every 2 weeks, and let's say make 1,000 weeks, so $2,000. We'll just use nice round numbers. And then let's say you get paid bi-weekly on, I'm going to do Thursday. That's what I got when I was at Walmart. And that's with no end date. So bi-weekly every 2 weeks. And so there it is, done. And then boom, there you go. So this is typically what you would have coming in. So I can see how much money I'm going to have the rest of the year before I've added in any of the bills. Now, when your paycheck comes, because again, you might not get an exact number all the time. So whenever you get paid, so let's say tomorrow I get paid and I get paid exactly $2,000. Well, then I would just hit enter. You enter each thing, and I would put enter transaction. Then boom, it's $2,000. But let's say I got a little extra because I worked a little overtime, and let's say I got $2,100. Then you just put enter on there, and then boom, it's $2,100. But you'll see the next one's still the same at $2,000. So again, when it comes to your income there, project on the low end. That's very important. That way you can kind of add as the week goes on instead of subtracting and getting yourself farther and farther in the hole. So there's your income. That's what you've got to work with through the year. Okay, and maybe you've got ways to earn extra money, but it's sporadic. But either way, this is roughly what you're going to get. So now we start adding bills. So groceries, of course, everybody has got to eat. Now, all these things are going to vary from family to family. Do not go and do your budget exactly the way I do mine. I've got 8 kids. You might only have 1 or 2 kids, so you need to do what you need to do. So we will put groceries, and then let's just say 200. Oh, wait a minute. Let me start that over. I'm going to go to add reminder. Sorry, add reminder. And then we're going to do pay to groceries. And then 200, we'll say 200 a week. And then right here, we're going to change this because otherwise it just does it monthly. And so we'll go here, weekly, every Monday with no end date. And then boom. So there it is. It's on there for every week. Okay, now some weeks you might spend a little more, but this is where I'm going to go through and I'm going to manually enter it. So some people just take the 200 cash out and that's what they've got to spend. We just typically use the debit card, and then if we spend a little more, if we spend a little less, then I'll change it when I go to enter it. So my wife goes to the grocery store on Monday and she only spent $195. So then I just put 195 on there, enter, and then boom, there it is. So you always want to make sure the balance on that day is the same as whatever it is in your checking account. So there is how you set up a weekly bill. Let's say car payment. Okay, say your car payment is, so add reminder. We'll do car payment. Let's say it's $300 a month. And then here it's got it on for the 9th, next due on the 15th. Let's just change this. I'm going to do it the 15th every month, or I say on the 15th day of the month with no end date. And then boom, that's done. So I've got my car payment planned. And notice it's here in the next month. And so as you can see, as we go through the months, I'm still not in the hole because I still have extra money, but of course I have other bills to add. Now, let me just add this in with a car payment. What if you don't have a car payment? Then you know what you do? You pay yourself a car payment and put it in savings because eventually your car is going to break down and you don't want to have to add a $300 a month bill that you're not prepared for in case you're keeping your balance real low. So that's another example. So we've got an example of a weekly bill. We've got an example of a monthly bill. But then let's just say something extra came up. All right, I had to buy new tires for the car. So then what you'll just do is you'll just do add expense. All right, it was just like a one-time thing, and you could enter it on there. You didn't really have it planned, but it's just once. You're not going to do it again. It's $400, and then boom, I got that one thing entered that fast. And so, you know, you're going to have extra expenses that come up. Now, I recommend, instead of entering like all these little expenses, it's a good idea to just plan on taking out cash. So, and I'm doing round numbers. These are not necessarily all the numbers that I do, but what I would recommend doing is do add a reminder, and then weekly, every week on Monday, with no end date. You always got to make sure you enter that. I'm just going to put cash, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put $200 a week in cash, and then that way I've got some cash every week, my wife's got some cash every week, and then we do all our little transactions on that. You know, if you run through drive-through, I don't want to have to come on here and then go and add an expense for McDonald's for, you know, checking, you know, for $8.72. I don't want to have to keep doing that with all these little transactions. So it's better to just do that with cash. But if you do those little debits, you know, it forces me to enter all of them. And but anyway, so those are all things that we're watching for. Now, another thing you want to make sure you do is remember things like birthdays and anniversaries, your annual things. Okay, so you know, my wife's birthday's already passed, but like I'm going to go to 2022 on our anniversary. Okay, our anniversary is April 20th. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add a reminder. I'm just going to put anniversary, and maybe, you know, we like to go out for the night, go out to eat somewhere nice, want to buy her something, so I'm just going to schedule $250 annually, or yearly, there it is, yearly, with no end date, because hopefully you're planning on staying married forever. And then boom, that's there. Now when the anniversary comes around, I've got some, you know, I'm planning on having the money. That way, you know, I don't get nailed and I'm broke, and then I can't do anything for my wife on our anniversary. And then you're going to have to make a decision. Am I going to make my wife mad, or am I going to go put something on the credit card? And either way, you lose. So you better plan for these things. When it comes to your kids' birthdays, you know, it's good to do things for your kids on their birthdays, on their special days. And I think the next birthday in our family, so I'll put on Abby's birthday. I'm going to put add reminder. Same thing. Yearly. No end dates. November 22nd. And I'll put Abby's birthday. And I'll put $150, however much you think you'll spend on their birthday. And then boom, that's there. I'm ready for that. Because in our family too, we have to watch it, because in January we've got 3 birthdays. We've got Kelly, Kelly's on the 18th, Tommy's on the 20th, Cassandra's on the 28th, and then Jason's is right after that in February. I mean, so that's a lot of, you know, extra money that I'm going to spend that month that, you know, is not a normal weekly or monthly expense. So, you know, these are all important things. So the other thing I do too, of course, as a pastor, I got to mention this, you know, tithe. So I always add tithe in the day after my paycheck. And obviously I don't pay it till Sunday, but I'm going to do a reminder. But whatever I put for the low end, so if it was the $2,000 for the low end, then I'm going, for tithe, I usually plan on the higher end. That way, because I like to give myself discounts when I can. So, you know, on a good paycheck, maybe I get $2,500. So I'm going to put $250, and then I'm going to put bi-weekly on that, every 2 weeks on Friday, no end date, and then there you go. So I put that on the high end, but then if on this paycheck I only got $2,100, so then what I can do, whenever I go to enter that one, after I go to manually enter it, I'll just put 210 instead. And then now I've got an extra $40 in my bank account. So again, for your expenses, you always want to plan on the high end, because you always have these extra things coming, and often you're not ready for it. So if you normally spend right at 200 a week on groceries, well, maybe you want to plan for, more like 230 or something like that, and then that way you're kind of giving yourself a discount. But either way, with what I've added, I can look, and I just happen to be in the black for the rest of the year, so I'm all good. Now, obviously, I've got a lot more expenses than these, but I'm not going to take the time to go through and do a full budget. But what you just want to do is you want to go back, look on your online banking, and find all of your monthly bills, find all your bi-weekly things, or even annual bills, license plate stickers. I just spent $148, I think it was, on my stinking license plate sticker, and I'm gonna have to do it again next year. And so I'm gonna put a reminder on here, and I'm gonna put it to license sticker, and I'm gonna make sure I put down yearly, no end date, and then that was like 148.80 or something like that. I can't remember. And then boom, that's in there. So I'm all ready to go next year for that too. Go on Christmas. However much money you think you're going to spend on Christmas, go early in the month. Maybe you want to go black. Maybe you do your shopping on Black Friday. So go on here and then add reminder, and then Christmas presents. However much money, we'll put $1,000 in there, and then we're going to put yearly, and then no end date. Now I'm ready to go, so I'm not panicking when Christmas comes. So the main thing I do is I always like to just go through, and I've pretty much got all of our my income is pretty regular, my expenses are pretty regular, and I've got all these things entered in here, and so I can go through the year and I'm still always in the black. And so another thing you're going to want that you need to add to your budget, okay, is you do need it's good to save money, but saving it in your checking account is not that good of an idea, because the thing is, so I'm looking on here right now and it's like, oh man, I've got such a big balance, and trust me folks, my balance in my checking is never as high as you see it on here, but let's just say that it is, okay. I might start getting the idea that I've got more spending money than I realize. So what I want to do is, we have a separate savings account, and then I transfer money to there. So if you're just trying to save money, I would recommend adding a weekly reminder to, and you can put whatever you're saving for, whether vacation savings or just we've got vacation savings, we've got just regular savings, saving for car, whatever it is, okay? You got to go through, figure out what you want to save for. But anything you're going to want to save for, and you can do this weekly, monthly, however you want to do, no end day, every week on Monday. I'm going to put a big number on here right now because I want to get my balance lower so I can show you something. But trust me, I'm not saving $500 a week. But all right, so I've got that in there, $500 a week that I'm saving. So what I do is I have a Word document where I put down how much I have in savings. And so it shows my, like on my online banking, I can see my savings total. And let's say I've got a savings total of $2,000. And then what I do down here, I'll put down like my car savings. And so maybe, 800 of that is for a new car. Oops. and then maybe I've got like an emergency fund, and I've got $1,000 in there, and then I've got a vacation fund, and we'll say I have that would leave me $200 left. So that all adds up to $2,000. So while on my online banking, I might see a really big number in what I've got saved, but on this document is where I keep track of what belongs where. And so I do that. That way I can plan for things like vacation and all that without it affecting the balance on my checking. Because again, if you have a huge balance in your checking, you're going to be more likely to go spending it. So I typically keep the balance in my checking account lower. And that's not always on purpose. Sometimes it just happens to be that way. But notice now, since I added all that savings, all right, 500 was obviously too high. We can now see, though, that I'm in the red. So here's what I've got to do. All right, I'm looking, and I'm getting up to over $3,000 in the red in the future. So now what I have to do, I've either got to figure out how to get more income, or I've got to figure out what I can cut, because I cannot be in the red. So that's where you go through, and all right, so let's see what happens if I so obviously the savings is an easy one to cut back on. All right, well, we're just going to save a little slower. Let's edit that. Let's change it to $400. Well, that puts me where I'm only a little over $1,000 in the red. So that's good. So what would happen if we maybe didn't have as much spending cash every week? Let's take that down to $160. Me and my wife, that's $20 less a week that we've got. Well, now I can go through and look at that. I am not in the hole at all. And so there you go. And so here's what's going to happen. This is why you want to do this. You're going to go to the appliance store because you need a new refrigerator, and they're going to tell you, hey, you can just buy it on credit, and no money down now, and then you can just make payments. And then you're going to think, it's only a couple $100 a month. I can add that. Well, here's what you do before you do something like that. You go on here and you enter that in. All right, can I afford a $200 a month payment right now on appliances? So we'll just put appliances, $200 monthly, and no end date. And there we go. And now I'm in the hole. A couple $100 there, a couple hundred there, 300 here. But by the end of the year, I'm back to being 1,300. So you know what? I probably should not do that unless I can cut back somewhere else. And so, well, what else could we do? How about how about we go on a diet and we don't eat as much? Go to 180 a week. And now I'm only 800. So you can see, though, on here how you're just able to plan for the future and for the long term. Because really, in reality, notice how I'm good on all these months. I'm not in the hole. But all of a sudden, when I get into December, I'm going to be. You know why? Because I had that big Christmas present thing. Christmas is, most people spend a lot more than $1,000 on Christmas. And so right there, I've been thinking I'm doing good because I got a good balance in my checking account all these months. But I got to remember December's coming, and I want to be ready for that. So again, I recommend putting your Christmas savings in your savings account and then just transferring when it comes time. So you can see the dangers of having a high checking account balance. It makes you think you've got more money than you do. And so anything that I'm not going to spend for a long time, I'm going to put that in my savings account. And so my checking balance, I usually keep pretty low. And anyway, but this the software and this calendar that you can use, this is something you can use to just watch and see what's coming, and it'll motivate you a little bit. So if I got that $800 in the hole, well, here's the thing: if I start working a little more, and let's say I get to where I'm making $2,200 every week, then every 2 weeks, now all of a sudden I'm fine. Because here's what a lot of people do. A lot of people work just enough to keep their heads above water and pay their bills. There's a lot of people that are like that. They've got work available, maybe at their job there's overtime if they want it, and a lot of times they don't take advantage of that until all of a sudden they're panicking after they're in the hole. Well, I would rather work a little bit of overtime every week, and then to just have to work a ton like during the month of December, when I like to enjoy that month. So either way, there's a lot that could be said about this. If you have any questions, maybe leave a comment, and I can try to answer those for you. But this is how I do it. This is way better than just writing down on paper, what all your expenses are and what your income is, where you have to go and you got to manually add everything. It varies. It varies from day to day, because there's going to be some weeks you've got a real high balance, and there's going to be other days where you've got almost nothing. What happens with a lot of people, like I know for us, around the 15th, we always get, that's always the bad time of month, because of the fact that we get our car insurance. And folks, you do not want to know what we're paying for car insurance right now, and I've got 3 teenage drivers, all right? But the average person is not paying as much as I am on car insurance. But, so yeah, we got that monthly, no end date. And let's set it for the 15th of every month. And so I've got that one. I've got electric that's due around that time too. So we'll just put utilities. And on utilities, that's another one that varies. So what I would do on that one, plan for the high end. If your bills are usually like around 200, 250 or whatever, do 300. And oh, wait a minute, I did that as a one-time, so reminder. Well, you get the point on that. Just do it as 300, and then that's what you're planning for. But then if you have a good month and you only spend $250, that's an extra $50. You can take your wife out to dinner with that extra money. But either way, you just want to be able to, and you see a lot of red in here. And that's because this isn't the real thing. But either way, you always have this program you can go on to look in the future and kind of see what your projected income is going to be. And I'm just going to tell you, I might have a high balance in December, but on January, in my house, there's 3 birthdays, all within about 10 days of each other. And that's gonna bring my balance way down. You better plan for these things. And this is just a super easy visual so you can know what's going on. And I'm sure there's a million other ways to do budgets. There's probably some better ways to do it, but this works the best for me. So I always know where I'm at, and I always know where I'm going. And so I would encourage you to go out there, buy you one of these software programs. They're not expensive. And, it's a little bit of a pain learning how to enter everything. It takes some getting used to, but you'll get it figured out. You'll get real fast. And, manually enter all these things. It forces you to see where you're at. Now, another thing that's good about this, I'm not gonna be able to see much on here because I just added all this stuff, but you can go on here in reports, and you can go on graphs, and I do income and expense by payee, and then year to date, and then I'll just do like for the year, and you can look at a report. Now this has nothing on it because nothing's happened, but you can see what your total income is, and then it'll also show all your expenses will be on here too. And you know what? It's pretty interesting when you when you have to look at the dollar amount that you've spent on something. So, if you're somebody too, who's going to Starbucks every day. I mean, some people go to Starbucks like every day. They're spending like $5 a day. All right. And, let's just say you go to Starbucks. Let's just say you go 5 days a week and spend $5 every time. Okay. That's not a stretch for a lot of people. That's $25 a week times 52 weeks. That's $1,300. Okay. And you wonder why you can't afford your kids' Christmas presents. Okay? And this is one of the biggest things that was an eye-opener for me when I started doing this, and I started looking at just how much money I had, going to dumb places, just junk you buy in gas stations and things like that. It really kind of puts things in perspective. And that's another reason to use cash, because then I guess you don't have to look at it. But either way, with cash, you're limited in what you can spend. So I recommend doing this. Get a plan. Plan for savings. I'm not going to take time and go through each thing. You know what your expenses are. Go back, look at your online banking, see what you've been spending it on in the last year, because you're going to do it again this year. You know what you're going to spend. We have annual trips that we do. Usually around September, we take a trip to Tanner's Orchard. And so just sometime around then, I'll just add a reminder, and then I'll put Tanner's Orchard in there, and I'll plan a couple $100 to spend for that. A lot of people, they never have the extra money to do some of those extra annual things, and the reason they don't have it is because they don't plan for it. You went out when you had a high balance of $1,100 and thought, man, I'm walking in high cotton right now. I got a comma in my banking account, and you went and you bought a hot tub or something like that. Well, now you can't do all these other things that you'd like to do with your family. And then turns out, come December, you're back, you're in the hole because you went and did that. So, and another thing you can do too is, all right, it's June 10th today. I just saw a new grill that I want to buy. All right. How is it going to affect me if I go and I spend $250 on a grill or something like that? I can go look. I can go in the future, and those red numbers, they stick out. They stick out like a sore thumb, and then I'm going to be $182, and I guess I really don't have that $250 unless I can shave it from one of these other things. So, because you've got things on here too. If you schedule savings in your budget, just say, all right, well, you know what? I want to get that grill, but I guess I'm not going to put anything on the vacation fund this week. And you're allowed to do that. So instead of entering $400 for that month or for that week, we're going to do $200, and then boom, I have the money for the grill now, and I didn't really change anything in my budget. So I think that's probably should give you the basic idea of what you need to do. And either way, you've got to plan. You've got to plan. I always plan months ahead. And every year at the beginning of the year especially, I get a plan together. Because, most of us, especially if you have a lot of kids, you usually get a tax refund. We usually get it around February, which we actually didn't get ours this year until like 2 days ago. But normally around February we get it, and then that's usually a time of year when we have a big balance in our checking. But that's when I plan for a lot of these things, and I just kind of look ahead and make sure we're good for the whole year. A lot of times with our tax returns, that's when we get our Christmas money, and we put it in savings, and then that's there. Because you don't just get those big checks sent to you all the time unless you live during COVID and you got all the Trump bucks and Biden bucks. But that's not always going to happen, and you don't want to plan for that. So either way, I think that's about all I can share with you. Hopefully this gave you what you needed to get yourself started. And when you do this, I'm sure you'll come up with some of your own ways of doing things. But either way, make sure you have a plan. One more thing I want to add that I forgot to include is one more thing that I almost forgot to talk about that's very important when it comes to your budget. Okay, when it comes to your debts and paying off debt. Now, a lot of you might be familiar with what they call the debt snowball, and that's where you can take a paper like this here, and then you can put all your debts. And so we'll say I've got a car debt, and I owe $2,000 on that. And let's say I'm paying $300 a month on that. So $300 per month. And then I've got credit card and a debt of $1,000, and I'm paying $100 a month. Now, I could go through and I could list all my debts on here, okay? And, like house payment, all those things, maybe you owe some money to the appliance store. We talked about that. And you've got, let's say you've got $2,000 in there, and you're paying $200 a month. Okay, whatever it is. Now, I'm not going to take the time. Well, I am going to do this. So now, well, no, I'm not going to do that. So I've got it all listed on here. This is showing all of my debt. Now, on here, whenever I'm looking at my, on my debts, or, not my debts, but my balance, okay? This is just something to get you to think about. Now, that car payment. So I've got the car payment on here, $300 a month. Now, let's say, I'm looking on here and I know I'm all in the black from here on out. But notice, let's say I get it paid off in January. One of the best feelings in the world on your budget is when you can go and you can delete that from there, and you can see the balance go up. Now, I'm not going to do that right now, because for car payment, I always leave that in there even if I don't have one, because then I save for one, okay? But like the appliances, okay? So here, let's say I get that appliance paid off. Where'd it go? There we go, appliances. So one of the best feelings in the world is when you can go, and then actually you have to come down here, and then you right click, and then you can delete this instant and all future instances. So right there, that just added $200 a month to my income. So that's another thing you can do. You can look at is, and then what a lot of people would tell you to do then, or then you can take that $200 a month and add it to your credit card, what you're paying to that. And that is true. You could do that, or you could even take half of that. Take $100 and add to what you're paying to your credit card, or and then you can have an extra $100 in your budget every month. It's really up to you. You're the boss. The key is, again, just having a plan. So make sure you remember to do that. Enter all, have a plan to pay all your debts on there, and then kind of have that goal of getting rid of one of them so you can eliminate that bill from your thing, which will increase your balance that you'll be seeing on your calendar through the rest of that time. So that's just kind of one more visual thing, because here's the thing about money. It's really not about brains, it's about behavior. And money is a behavioral thing. Most people are, we all know math, but we don't always live it. And a lot of these things like that, they really do. They really will help you out. And so keep that in mind when it comes to your debts. Have them all on here. If you have a credit card payment, so maybe my credit card payment is, here's what we'll do. So credit card, that's going to be monthly. And let's say my minimum I'm supposed to pay is $100. Now, here's what I want to do if I have a credit card payment is, I want to get that credit card paid off as fast as I can. So, all right, that 100 didn't put me in the black or in the red. So, let's see what happens if I edit it and make it 150. And so when it comes to my debts, I'm going to put the numbers on there as high as I can to keep my balance low. And then from month to month, as they come up, well, I spend a little extra money here. Well, then I just enter it. Let's just do 100 this month. So that's another thing that you want to plan on the high end and hope that every month you can pay it on the high end. But if not, that's just one more thing you can take off so you can add to your budget. So that's another important thing I wanted to make sure I added just to kind of help you mentally prepare for those things. And then you can go and those things get paid off, and then boom, now I can have that extra 100 going towards my car debt. And you all know how that works. But either way, that's a good way to plan for it. So I just wanted to add that little fact in. So again, thank you for watching.